This is another one of these clips put up by Jack Ciccarello. Again, I don't like him, but he's got some, I guess, decent material up. I don't like when he's always groveling, hit this and hit that, and, it means so much to us. I mean, I know what it means. It means to your wallet. And you got 1.29 million subscribers, so stop bitching. You get a huge check every month. Title, Screaming Leavitt Collapses as Trump Caught Buying Epstein Girls. Plays for 13 minutes. I'm going to cut out when he's asking for hit this, hit that, and scribe here, and scribe there.
Karoline Leavitt is terrible at her job, which is surprising because the entirety of her job is lying, and she seems to do that all the time, but not very well. And it's difficult to in this Trump administration. They have changed their story back and forth, this way and that way on Epstein so many times you couldn't keep it straight if you tried. And Karoline Leavitt did and failed at today's press briefing, in which she screamed at reporters, ran out early, and completely fumbled over her words after confronted with the fact that Donald Trump allegedly bought a girl from Jeffrey Epstein. She was bombarded with all sorts of Epstein questions, but that was the one that made her implode. We're going to get into it all, but before we
do, hit the subscribe button. This it means so much to me. Stop it. Stop it. Get a haircut. You look like a fruit.
I want to start with where this press conference began, her being confronted over Donald Trump joking about domestic violence in this clip right here.
Yesterday, the president spoke about D.C. crime and talked about how there was virtually none. And then he expressed frustration about things that take place in the home they call crime. He said, they'll do anything they can to find something. If a man has a little fight with the wife, they say this is crime. See, now I can't claim 100%. Exactly what crimes was the president referring to?
He wasn't referring to crimes. That's exactly the point he was making, Ouija. What the president is saying is that these crimes will be made up and reported as a crime to undermine the great work that the federal task force is doing to reduce crime in Washington, D.C. And I think the president has every reason to believe that, given the efforts of many reporters in this room who actively seek to undermine the president and what he's doing in our nation's capital.
While there are so many Epstein questions to be asked and answered, I'm actually glad that the reporter started with that one towards Leavitt, because it establishes a break with this narrative that they want to push right now that Donald Trump cares about crime. You will hear Karoline Leavitt later in this press conference say that Democrats don't actually care about the Epstein victims, that Democrats don't actually care about crime, and it's only Donald Trump and Republicans who do. Well, then why is Donald Trump joking about domestic violence? He clearly doesn't care about crime. One, he's a criminal himself. He's an abuser himself. And so don't even think we're going to believe you on that line of bullshit, Karoline. But you went ahead and said it anyways, right before we saw her get confronted over Donald Trump's check.
Address the crime of Irina Zarica, and the president has done a lot to deliver justice for victims of crimes like that horrific stabbing. And the Epstein files are back in the news because a lot of Americans feel that that Jeffrey Epstein's victims never got justice. Does the president care about these victims? Do you think he can does he want to deliver more justice for them, and is he willing to meet with them?
The president cares about victims of all crimes, and that's why Republicans in the Trump Department of Justice have done more in terms of transparency when it comes to the Epstein case than any prior administration. And why are the Democrats all of a sudden caring about this? It's because they are desperately trying to concoct a hoax.
She is just so bad at this. She doesn't know what lie she wants to tell today because Donald Trump has told so many. Just the other day, we saw Mike Johnson say Trump was an FBI informant. So at the same time as the Epstein files are a hoax, Donald Trump was actively engaged in an operation to get Epstein and compile documents on him. None of that makes sense, which is why Karoline Leavitt couldn't answer this question here before we get into the one that really broke her.
Thank you. Just I want to follow up on something you said. You said the Epstein documents are a hoax that Democrats are perpetrating against the president. You've said he didn't sign that check, that he didn't sign the birthday card that he allegedly signed. So what is the theory, since these documents came from the Epstein estate? Who is I guess in your view, faking these documents?
I did not say the documents are a hoax. I said the entire narrative surrounding Jeffrey Epstein right now that is absorbing many of the liberal cable channels on television is a hoax.
So the documents aren't a hoax, but we don't need the documents because they're not real. But they are a hoax, but also the Democrats don't care, but the Democrats want to get the documents because they do care about not caring. Karoline Leavitt can't even tell a lie correctly. She's going to spout out a bunch of talking point soup, talking point blob, talking point blah, but it doesn't really amount to much, especially when the evidence is so crystal clear that Donald Trump was not only best friends with Jeffrey Epstein, but it was well regarded by everyone around him. We see in this photo a picture of Trump giving Epstein a check for a depreciated girl, which Leavitt was asked about right here.
One of the other documents released by the House Oversight Committee contained a photo of Jeffrey Epstein holding an oversized check that was made out to him in the check from the president for $22,000 for a fully depreciated woman. I wondered if the president has any recollection of that, or what you guys make of that photo that was included in those documents.
Did you see the signature on that check? It is not Donald Trump's signature. It is absolutely not. The president did not sign that check.
But does he recognize
Jordan,
the woman?
go ahead. No.
And if that wasn't enough, just look at her run away after this question.
The president will be signing a proclamation in the Oval Office later this afternoon, and we will see you all later. Thank you. Thank you.
How stupid does she think we are? Of course, she knows that MAGA is stupid, but the general public, really? Donald Trump's signature might have been seen by more people than, I don't know, what, John Hancock is the only other comparable signature out there in the world? Not only does Donald Trump sign his name in such a specific way, but he is constantly showing it off in his big marker that he uses to try to redirect hurricanes, the idiot that he is. There is no way that Karoline Leavitt thinks that this is a good defense. But it is also such an embarrassing defense to say, really, liberal? You think Donald Trump's a pedo? Well, he doesn't sign his name that way. He doesn't doodle. Got you there, didn't I? This is the only evidence that they have to combat this. It is a joke that this is what they think is going to sell us, that this is what they think is their big closing argument, that this is going to shut it all down. But it was completely overlooked, that check yesterday, in the reporting around Epstein. Donald Trump buying a depreciated girl. And it's also important to note that this check was not just a photo of Trump and Epstein. It was other associates of Trump's. It was other members of Mar-a-Lago who thought it was funny. So why did they think it was funny? Is it because the exploits of Trump and Epstein were so well known that they were in on the joke as well? Were they a part of it? Donald Trump was clearly buddies with Jeffrey Epstein, but they were more than best buddies, it seems. They were criminal accomplices, and everybody knew that. Yet they think a good response is that's not his handwriting. And Karoline Leavitt tried to keep pushing it right here.
Thank you. About the Epstein case, would the White House support a professional handwriting expert review of the document released yesterday to prove that it's not the president's signature?
Sure, we would support that. And in fact, I have already seen many forensic analysts of signatures coming out. I believe it was the Daily Signal that published a piece with 3 separate signature analysts who said that this absolutely was not the president's authentic signature. And we have maintained that position all along. The president did not write this letter. He did not sign this letter. And that's why the president's external legal team is aggressively pursuing litigation against the Wall Street Journal, and they will continue to. Christian.
Thanks, Caroline. Following up.
You don't need forensic scientists to tell you the guy who signs his name with a big, bold Sharpie signed his name with a big, bold Sharpie decades ago. You don't need a team of geniuses to tell.
Hey, Jack, you should tune into Kudaman 415-708 or Gabor Zolna on YouTube. Trump's DNA is all over that card. And that's what they need to focus in on. His DNA is all over that card. Let's go back.
Tell you that Donald Trump signs his name the way that Donald Trump has always signed his name. This is just MAGA thinking that they can stoop down to the level of idiocy even we never thought that they would go to. A dispute over Donald Trump's handwriting. It is what they think can stand in the way of one of the worst scandals in presidential history. That is the flimsy defense, non-defense, that they are working with right now. If you think this Trump administration isn't scared, if you think they aren't panicked, look at what they are trying to use to defend the president right now. Handwriting, which is so obviously his that Lawrence O'Donnell decided he was going to make it crystal clear last night.
Not running for president against President Obama in 2012, Donald Trump tweeted, "Lawrence will soon be off TV, bad ratings. He has a face made for radio."
This week.
Yeah, and what's your face made for, Donald? The fucking doghouse with that brown shit you put on all over it.
Donald Trump was actually privately urging NBC to get rid of me in those days, and so the friendly note came as a surprise in January 2016 from someone who I didn't know and who I believed hated me. And on the show that night, I read my response to Donald Trump about receiving that note, and I just said that I said in a letter to Donald Trump that I wrote on the show that I couldn't accept, of course, any kind of contribution or pass on any kind of contribution from a presidential candidate. Given that I report on presidential candidates, I asked him, "I hope you understand this predicament." And then, of course, I, in the end, said, in the meantime, because I was diverting this contribution, I myself would replace the Trump check with a $10,000 check of my own that I then gave to my favorite charity. And so here is tonight's entry in the Trump signature sweepstakes. This is a copy of what I sent. When he sent me this, we made a copy, but I sent this, put it back in the envelope it came in, and sent it back to Donald Trump. Donald Trump's note to me appears in the memo section of the check. And there is the signature to the note, which is just that word Donald. Just Donald, that very friendly signature. And then the full formal signature, Donald J. Trump, below that on the check. And so now, from this Donald right here, I'm going to lift this Donald right here, the one-word signature, and put it on the screen. It's going to appear on the screen below the signature that appears on the Epstein birthday letter. Now, obviously, they are different magnifications of those signatures and different thickness, possibly to the writing implement at the time. But you will see all the basic shapes are exactly the same. All of the grand strokes are exactly the same. Those two signatures are more alike than any two exemplars of my signature, which varies day to day and signature to signature. But we will leave it to you, the handwriting experts in the audience, to make tonight's judgment about just how similar those strikingly similar signatures appear to be.
This is not up for It is not up for dispute. It is clear, it is obvious, and it needs to be talked about every second of every day as long as we can. And we are certainly going to be doing so on this show every single day. Man, Karoline Leavitt's bad at her job.
I'll attach the link. Yeah, again, screw off.